I want to bring in Michael Bociurkiw. He is a former spokesperson for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and a global affairs analyst. He joins me now from Odesa in Ukraine. We're seeing these images, Michael, of the Chornobyl nuclear reactor, the casing that was struck. Russia is is denying it at this point, but I wonder what message it is sending, because since the beginning of this war, we've been worried about nuclear assets being struck. This is an old asset. It's from 1986. A disaster there occurred already. You've covered this. You've been in Chernobyl many times. And it seems like a message is being sent at this time, just before the conference.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is shockingly reckless. And I think if you're looking for why Mr. Putin did it, I think he's testing for soft tissue. Right now, there are no visible red lines that are being enforced by the United States. It's a perfect time, absolutely perfect time, for Mr. Putin to do what he does best and go to the limit and see what the response will be. Now, you know, Chernobyl, as you pointed out, I've been there many times. I wrote about it. And there's no military strategic value there. I think this was deliberate to set off the alarm bells in European capitals, as well as the ongoing Munich Security Conference. And we have to also remember that Russia has been tinkering with fire, playing with fire at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the biggest in Europe, which is on its own temporarily occupied land. I mean, the IAEA has been shuddering with fear and anxiety at what the Russians are doing there, cutting power lines, draining the cooling ponds, that sort of thing.
I want to talk about what's happening at the conference right now. We heard from Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary. We've heard from VP J.D. Vance. The comments seem contradictory at times. We don't really know where the U.S. stands. But the undercurrent, the ultimate messaging here is that they're coming in aggressively. They're telling the Europeans they need to step up. And it's interesting that President Zelensky is speaking more on the sidelines as opposed to being the focal point at the conference, which was the case in the previous meetings.
Yeah, well, first of all, about the Europeans, I mean, I just came back from a tour of European capitals, including Brussels, and you don't come in there, no matter who you are, lecturing them on voter sentiment, on people like Greta Thunberg. It was pretty nasty when it comes to European protocol. And I don't think that whether J.D. Vance or Mr. Hegseth, you know, I think there's a realization that whatever they say, well, Mr. Trump may overrule them or contradict them, because that's the way things work right now in Washington. I mean, for heaven's sake, Elon Musk and his kids seem to spend more time in the Oval Office than the vice president. Having said that, Mr. Zelensky, you know, I've covered him for a long, long time, Eleni, and I have never seen him so tired, looking so desperate. And as you kind of indicated, sidelined. And I think this is an indication written on his face of how bad things are for Ukraine right now. If I could quickly use this analogy that I'm kind of borrowing from another reporting colleague, but it seems that the United States and Russia have unilaterally boarded the express train. You have Mr. Zelensky on the platform trying to run up to catch onto it. And then you have the Europeans still at the turnstile trying to get onto that platform. Yeah. It's one big mess right now.
Yeah. Michael, you're in Odesa right now, and you sent our team this screen grab. This is what you experienced last night. These are warnings of airstrikes. Tell me what you're experiencing, because you earlier said that Putin is testing red lines, and it seems that he's gotten a lot more aggressive over the past week.
Yeah, you would have thought that in the past 2 or 3 nights he would have calmed down and not sent as many rockets and drones over, but it's been pretty bad overnight in various oblasts of Ukraine, including Odesa. 133 drones, according to the defense forces, of which only about half were shot down. And some of those struck not too far from here at the Odesa port infrastructure. There are also reports of 2 drones crashing on Moldovan soil, which certainly set off alarm bells in Chisinau, and also violations of airspace in NATO member Romania. But, you know, if I could bring this down to a very personal level for everyone, it is Valentine's Day after all. Just moments before I went on air with you, I walked to an area of Odesa where they have what's called the Alley of Heroes. These are memorials to servicemen and women who have fallen. And it was so sad. You see families there. I didn't film them to respect their privacy, but you see families there laying flowers for the departed rather than giving flowers into the hands of the living. This is a story, Eleni, that is being repeated at cemeteries and memorials around Ukraine today. It's a very, very sad day.
It is indeed. Michael Bociurkiw, always good to have you on, and your insights so valuable to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A program